Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Personal Growth Talks podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and joining me today is our wonderful co-host, Julia.
Hi, Jason. Hi, everyone. We're so glad you're here with us. Today's topic is fascinating, and it's one that I think will help a lot of people understand themselves and others better. We're diving into why emotional intelligence, often called EQ, is actually more important than IQ, especially when it comes to life success.
Exactly, Julia. You know, when we think about intelligence, most of us tend to think of IQ, or intelligence quotient. But there's so much more to being smart than just IQ. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, plays a huge role in how we navigate our lives, how we manage relationships, and even how we handle our own emotions. So, let's start by explaining what emotional intelligence actually is.
That's a great place to start, Jason. Emotional intelligence is basically the ability to recognize, understand, and manage not only our own emotions, but also the emotions of others. EQ includes skills like empathy, self awareness, self regulation, and social skills. It's all about how we handle our emotions and how well we connect with people.
Absolutely. And one of the most important things to note is that while IQ is often seen as something you're born with and is pretty stable throughout life, EQ is different. You can actually develop and improve your emotional intelligence over time. So, unlike IQ, which might be fixed, EQ can grow.
That's such a valuable point, Jason. A lot of people don't realize that they can actively work on their EQ. And to put things in perspective, imagine a situation at work. Let's say you're dealing with a challenging project. Someone with a high IQ might be able to come up with brilliant ideas or solutions. But if they lack emotional intelligence, they might struggle to communicate those ideas effectively, handle stress well, or work as part of a team.
Right. That's actually a great example. And what's interesting is that research has shown that EQ is a much better predictor of success than IQ alone. People with high emotional intelligence tend to perform better in social and work settings. They're also more resilient, which means they bounce back from setbacks faster.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the reasons why EQ has become so important in today's world. It's not just about being book smart anymore. It's about being emotionally smart too. In fact, studies have shown that people with higher EQ have stronger relationships, better mental health, and are generally more satisfied with their lives.
So true, Julia. And another big reason why EQ is so important is that it helps us build empathy. When we're able to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, we can understand where they're coming from. This is key in building meaningful relationships, whether in the workplace, in friendships, or in our families.
Absolutely. And Jason, let's not forget the power of self awareness, which is a huge part of EQ. Self awareness means understanding your own emotions, knowing what triggers certain feelings, and being able to recognize how your emotions affect those around you.
That's so important, Julia, because if we can recognize our emotions and understand them, we're better able to manage them. So, if we feel frustrated or stressed, instead of letting those feelings control us, we can take a step back and decide how we want to respond. This is often called self-regulation, and it's a skill that can be life-changing.
And self regulation doesn't just benefit us personally. When we're able to control our emotions, we're more likely to handle conflicts calmly and avoid saying things we might regret. This is particularly important in the workplace. Imagine a manager who doesn't have good self regulation. They might lash out under pressure, which creates a toxic environment. But a manager with high EQ can stay calm and handle stressful situations effectively.
Great point, Julia. And here's another aspect of EQ, motivation. People with high EQ tend to be intrinsically motivated. This means they're driven by inner goals and values, rather than just external rewards like money or status. This kind of motivation can keep people going, even when things get tough.
Yes, that's one of the best parts about having high emotional intelligence. When we're motivated from within, we're more likely to be persistent and to push through challenges. And Jason, this motivation also helps with setting and achieving goals, which is a huge part of personal growth.
Exactly. So, to sum it up, emotional intelligence isn't just about understanding others. It's about understanding ourselves. It involves empathy, self-awareness, self-regulation, and motivation. And these skills can make a huge difference in our lives.
Absolutely, Jason. And before we wrap up, let's give our listeners a few practical tips on how they can improve their own emotional intelligence.
Great idea. Here's a simple one. Start by practicing self-reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to think about how you felt throughout the day and what triggered those emotions. Try to understand why you felt a certain way, and ask yourself how you can manage similar emotions better in the future.
That's a good one. Another tip is to really practice empathy. Try to understand the perspectives of those around you. Ask questions, listen without interrupting, and imagine what it would feel like to be in their position. Over time, this will help you strengthen your ability to connect with others.
And here's one more. Work on your communication skills. Being able to express your feelings clearly and listen actively to others is a big part of emotional intelligence. So, practice active listening. Show people you're really paying attention to them.
Love it, Jason. And for everyone listening, remember that developing emotional intelligence is a journey. It won't happen overnight, but with practice and patience, you'll start seeing positive changes in your relationships, your personal growth, and even your own happiness.
Absolutely, Julia. And if you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and share it with friends who might benefit from it too. Emotional intelligence is something we can all work on, and it's one of the best things we can do for ourselves and for those around us.
Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. We can't wait to see you next time for more personal growth conversations. Take care, and remember, practice a little empathy and self-awareness every day. It'll make a world of difference.
Bye, everyone.